Welcome to the Finest Hour podcast, where we celebrate the moments that define success. Today, I've got a very special guest. That's Marie Cooper, Chief Executive Officer at the CBE Plus. Marie, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast, and it's great to have you here. And CBE Plus are the multidisciplinary subcontract manufacturing company based in Chesterfield.
That's correct. Glad you said that, not me.
Yes, although you need to tell me about what comes as part of its structure, because let's run through that as a bit of a background to you.
It's quite complex, and it's been a hell of a journey, quite frankly. But over the last 7 years, we've pulled together probably 6 or 7 different businesses with different capabilities, and we've pulled them together all under the branding of CB Plus, and now ultimately all under one legal entity and one roof. So we're now on one site.
And please tell me, what are the capabilities? So we've got
machining. So we do CNC machining, milling, turning, WEDM facility, so wire eroding capability. We've got a world-class, now electrous nickel plating plant. We've got gear cutting facilities. We've got a laboratory. We have paint spraying, heat treatment. Everything that came with all the businesses, we've consolidated together to create what I think is integrated supply chain solutions.
And you are involved in some pretty awesome projects. Your parts go to satellites. You tell me where.
We're quite a diverse market sector supply into, quite diverse. We do rail, we do automotive, oil and gas, defence. We are doing some space satellite work at the moment. We do some medical. It's really quite interesting, yeah.
Yes, and you are on course to hit £8 million in turnover this year.
Yes, by September.
September.
The team have got a bit of a challenge, but we're on track. Yeah.
You are on track, and you doubled that, almost doubled from 2021 when it was about
4.8 million we did in 21, 6 million in 22, and we're on for 8 this year.
So it's been really a painstaking journey to get to that point. And you are the captain, and you know where you're going.
I've had the vision since 2016 when I took on these businesses in the first place, and it's quite interesting when you have the conversations. We had a big open day last week, and actually the vision you had in your head 7 years ago is now actually reality, and it's in front of us when we stand and look out of that showcase window. Let's
unpack you as a person, because I think this is that's really what made you successful. You are I have a tremendous respect for you, Marie. So let's go there.
You.
By trade, you are an accountant.
I am.
And could you tell me about the journey? What made you go into finance and ultimately helped you to start your own business? Obviously, achieve the success, because that's quite a personal thing.
It's a personal journey for me. Yeah. My inspiration came from my dad a long time since. When I started secondary school, my dad set up his own business. He turned his hobby into a business, effectively.
That was cycling.
It was cycling, yes. So he run the cycling club on a weekend. Definitely dragged me out and done things that I was out of my comfort zone doing. But I think it's the resilience and the drive that did it. But my dad, he was very good at what he did, but he wasn't an accountant. He didn't understand the numbers. He wasn't academically.
He was a brilliant guy and very passionate about what his hobby and what he was delivering to customers. But that was lacking, and you saw that struggle.
I saw the struggle, and from probably the ages of 15, 16, it was quite tough.
Yeah.
And it was the finances that let me dad down. It was almost, it grew too big, at the time, and he couldn't handle it. Very different, and he closed the business down in the end because it got too tough. And for me, it was something that was quite simply managed with the right skill set. So, it forced me. My original drive was to be an accountant, to help people like me dad that had skill sets that were really, really good practically, at what they did, but lacked that financial support. And
not just like account that turns up and just gives you the end of the year account without any.
And that's exactly what they
advice,
had. Gave you a bill and just gave you the accounts and said, there you go, that's what you've done. Here. But not how that actually materialises and how the business develops. And I suppose that's one of the reasons why accountants become business people, because they understand that journey, but the skill set is what actually makes the business work, but it has to be coupled with that finance element. So it was big lessons early in life for me for that. And that was my drive.
Plus, as well, you always it was like you always wanted to prove something. I know you said to me that you've got a bus driving license.
Yeah,
is that right?
I can drive buses. I've got my PSV. I got it at 18. Yep.
Yeah, there's like so many like things to you, Marie, and obviously the finance helped you understand the cash flow, and it was a key ingredient in your later success. So we're going to go into that in a second, but before we discuss maybe the future ambitions for CBE Plus, I believe it's important to acknowledge what I consider to be your finest moment, because I had a good and long think after our conversation. There's so many great things you have achieved, but I think it's to have the ambition and courage to start a complex manufacturing facility. I've been to your facility and I see how complex it is. To have the guts to invest the money that you earned from previous successes, which we're going to talk about the journey of those in a minute.
There's a fine line between brave and stupid, though, isn't there?
Oh my God. I know you are literally, for me, you are the rock star of manufacturing. the way you had the courage to start and where you are today in terms of the journey, because you had a pretty handsome payout from your work at the Flow Group, and that was the management buyout. And
we created President Engineering Group from the management buyout we did from some of the businesses from Flow Group back in 2010. We grew and developed that over 5 years, and then we sold the business to big American corporate, which is very, very different culture to what I wanted to work in. Yes,
because you did 6 years at President Engineering Group. You was forced to give up your shareholding.
We had drag-along clauses as a team, so the two biggest shareholders in the business wanted to sell, so we really had no choice. But you know, it did give me a really life-changing amount of money, and it's what's allowed me to do what I've done today, which is what drives me. Some of my business partners and the people in the business were older; they wanted to retire. They have retired, whereas I was 40. You know, life was still in front of me, and I wanted to do everything we'd done great again. Effectively, that was the drive. Didn't expect to put in everything I have or get to where, you know, that wasn't quite the plan. It's sort of evolved. So, you know, you said the finest hour of making that decision to do it wasn't the plan. We've sort of evolved and developed, you know, through opportunities and circumstances. But
don't you think it's just, you can always reflect on things like that and then understand, like, looking back, how brave that was to start something complex.
I didn't necessarily. I think that's one of the things that you do. Into you don't see things as brave. You see things as what the opportunities are in front of you. And you know, I am a person that handles situations as they come up. So you know, what do we need to do today? What do we need to do? How do we do that? Where does the money come from? Where does the opportunities come from? What do we do? So as business people, you just actually do what you need to do on a daily basis, and it's been quite powerful.
It has been. And could you tell me a little bit about the year you spent at Parker Hannifin? Is it?
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, working in an American corporate culture.
Because that was in between the CBE days and obviously President Engineering.
We sold President Engineering Group to Parker Hannifin. And my role changed quite drastically. I was finance director. And like I said, the people who were running the business, my fellow shareholders at the time, they both stepped out and retired. So the opportunity, I was the only person effectively for Parker that could run the business. So I became plant manager, which was my first real experience of running the business. And I always remember Mark saying to me at the time, I says, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, you've just been doing it for the last 5 years. Just, you know, you actually get the title now. So it was quite nice for me. But having the control of running your own business and then working for an American corporate that, you know, the way they work is very different, and it just weren't the culture. I am a control freak. I like things to happen, and when you've got to go through so many channels to get things changed, you know, there were things we could have done on a daily basis that took actually months to actually start to change. So it weren't for me.
So what other things you spotted in that sort of American corporate culture that you didn't like? Or maybe there's things you liked and learned from that period?
You learn, they do have, you know, process map. They have certain processes that actually work. You can build some of the corporate process improvements into that, but it has to be built with resilience and ability to be able to adapt and change and react. And for me, that's what makes the perfect business. You know, you can't take 3 months to do something. Sometimes you actually have to do it today. Yeah. So you didn't last long there. It was a year. I have no patience anyway. My patience has been described as negative, not even zero. So I don't have any patience whatsoever. If we can do it today, we'll do it today. There's no point waiting for tomorrow.
Okay. So Heroes 2017, you've had enough. you've got the money, let's do it. So you start what was at the time Cooper Brown Enterprises?
I started, Chris was somebody I worked with in President Engineering Group. We had a really good relationship. He run the operations of the business, and I did finance. And he came to me and said, "This culture's not right for me either. So is there anything we can do to pool as resources and as abilities to do something different?"
Yeah.
So yes, I had some money. Chris had the ability. So my original investment was, I said I'd put $500,000 on the table, and we'd go and look for businesses that we could invest in, nice businesses to come together. So we created Cooper Brown Enterprises and went looking. And it took us 6 months to find two businesses within half a mile of each other that already had synergies and, business people that, wanted to sell out or work with us initially.
Yes.
To do it.
Yeah. And that's a big achievement to actually be able to pull it all together. And then obviously I met you in 2018 when you was going through that CBE rebrand. It was quite a cool marketing strategy and the way it's all came together. I think it was like brilliantly executed.
It was quite interesting because the vision, like I said, came from we wanted businesses that had the right cultures, they had the right opportunities, and they had people in the business that wanted to develop it, because that was what we wanted to do. We wanted to drive and make a difference. The businesses came. It was BG Engineering and Nitec at the time, and BG Engineering was machining side of it. Nitec was the plating, and there was already one customer that had opportunities with both businesses that worked with both of them, and they were in the business when we first went in. And it was just an inspiration I got, that if we can pull the whole thing together, we can pull that integrated supply chain just with those two. It was quite powerful, and that was the original vision. We did it. So we rebranded the whole group in 2019. We launched CBE Plus, which changed then from Cooper Brown Enterprises, because it's not about individuals. For me, it was about the business then. It was about the capabilities of the business. So we rebranded to Capabilities Beyond Engineering.
And there's a different strapline now.
Capabilities Beyond Engineering.
Yes.
And the plus sign came from the idea that all the capabilities can be added together in any form. So we work with customers that just want one of our capabilities. We work with customers who probably want, at the minute, probably 5 or 6 different ones. So whatever the customer wants in that integrated supply chain that fixes their, efficiencies and timescales, we work with them. So we've added capabilities in to develop that relationship.
And it was you and the team, but obviously for you, it's not a 9-to-5 job, is it?
Running your own business is never a 9-to-5 job. You never switch off. I originally said, when we set up Cooper Brown Enterprise with Chris, he was supposed to be running the businesses and I was supposed to be doing finance, because I'm a big believer in the skills and the development. And, I actually wanted to get back to my roots and help business people. So my idea was, work 3 days a week with Chris, and build the businesses there. And then 2 days a week, do the nice things, I got my beagle, I got Belle, my baby girl. So, I wanted to spend some time with her and then do the nice stuff. I actually wanted to do angel investment, with some of the other money, and it just escalated into all being focused on CBE, and it was a 7-day a week 24-hour
yes, it has been
job by 2018. So
yes. And how is it now? You're still very much on the very high gear.
It is still very high geared, but we're still in the growth phase. We're still in a big transition. We're not quite where I want to be. We've come a hell of a long way, and the journey, getting everything under one roof this year has been really quite impactful and powerful. But we've had 4 or 5 years of transition and pain we've had to go through to get to here that we need to recover from, and the only way we do that is to trade through it. So that's what we're working on now, is that growth and getting the business out there. The conversations we have is and if people don't know we exist, people don't know what capabilities we've got, and that comes from a lot of British manufacturing anyway, but we're finding that quite prominent. Even the customers we've had for years don't understand the capabilities we've got, or still seeing things that we can grow opportunities from. So there's still a long way to go.
There's always something to work on, and you've got some great ambitions over the next 18 months to take this business to the turnover of 10 mil.
Yeah. My original goal back in 2017, when I pulled them all together, was to triple turnover, which at the time was 5 million for the group, even though it weren't a group. So my goal was to get to 15 million in 3 years, and then we had shareholder issues. We had issues that I needed to address. The business needed investing in. I'd not quite bought what I thought I'd bought, so it materialised into different things. And then we had COVID on top of all of that. So, we're 3 years further down the line than wanted to be, but that vision and goal has never changed for me.
Okay, so you think that's you're going for 15 easily.
Yeah, my MD and the team still want, we're pushing for 20. We've built a site, it needs to deliver its capabilities. I'm quite comfortable at 10 to 15. That's a nice business, but it's got potential to do more.
Of course, and I think it's not just the turnover. It's as a financially astute individual, which you clearly are, it's the profit, isn't it, that sits there.
Money's not a driver for me. It's about doing money makes the world go round, and money is what we get the investment from. And I have put a hell of a lot of money into the business, and at some point that has to come back in return. But for me, it's about generating what we're doing and making a difference. And some of the projects that we work on, they are quite exciting for me. The money will come from that. We're doing the right things, and we're generating the right opportunities to showcase the skills of the team, because I've 80 people on site, and we've said it a few times, you can't run a business on your own. It is about the skill set of the team. I'm not a technical person. A lot of the technical expertise that comes and what we actually deliver comes from the rest of the team. The vision and drive comes from me, but it is about what they deliver, and they are pretty good.
Yes, they are pretty good. And that's interesting, because as I said, you haven't got any formal training in manufacturing. Yet your business is so complex.
I never pretend to be technical. So, I've had conversations even recently where people start talking to me technically, and I go, stop, I've got people for that. It's about recognising people's strengths, and certainly not one of mine. So, find the people who have got that capability, and it's down to them then.
Yeah, that's important. And in terms of, you're actually also passionate about developing people.
The inspiration for me is seeing people change. It is, even in the last 6 or 7 years. You bear in mind, I bought these businesses from people who are running it. That I've got a few guys that have been with me all the way through, and the previous shareholders had actually said to me that these guys were just never going to be anything or do anything. And now seeing them actually running the business, and seeing how they've developed, how they've changed and become managers, for me that's inspirational, and we've changed their lives.
Okay, so there are people who changed even though others didn't believe in them, and because
the previous shareholders didn't believe in people.
That's you're loving the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, but when I've always done that. When somebody tells me you can't do something, the challenge is to actually do it. I think that's what you do, until you prove them wrong, in some respects. But no, I'm a big believer in people, and you've got to give them the right opportunities, but then they've got to have the will and desire to do it. And I see the will and desire in people, and if that's the case, then you can nurture that, you can develop that, and you almost push and drive them. And I've seen some phenomenal changes in some of the people in my business over the last 6 years, and it's nice. Yeah.
Do you want to give any shout outs to anybody today? Any rising stars?
No, because I don't. There is some really great ones. There's a team of 80 people, and in a lot of cases, they all develop. I mean, we train and develop apprentice programs. I'm a big believer in skills. It is something that's a driver for me and the business, because who's going to run this business in 20 years' time if we don't develop the skills of the people in it? What is the business going to be in 20 years? We need to take responsibility for that as business people, and employees of the business. They have to develop it. So.
Fantastic. And you mentioned to me the importance of the network when dealing with business challenges. So do you have any advice for entrepreneurs who might be how to build and maintain a strong support network, and how it helps in actually achieving your goals? Yeah,
it's a big driver, isn't it? Because I never understood the saying, it's lonely at the top, until you're actually on your own running a business, and you think that you're the only one going through some of these challenges. You're clearly not. Some people face challenges day in, day out, every day running businesses. So sharing stories and sharing expertise and learning from each other. One, it actually gives you confidence to think, well, if they can get through it, then, what makes us not any different?
Exactly.
But actually just having a support network of people that understand. It is quite difficult, because when, Barnsley born and bred, and, a different world to some of my family and friends, quite honestly, and I think it's difficult when you have conversations that they don't understand, when you're working at 11 o'clock at night, or you can't have holidays, or you can't just drop things and disappear. Like they do, it's quite difficult for them to understand, because they're just like, well, why can't you just leave, or you need to finish work, don't work as hard. Well, they don't see the drive and the goal that you do. So having a network of people that actually live and breathe the same lifestyle you do, and have that connection and can talk to each other, it's really impactful, and I think it's the most important thing.
How do you meet people like that? How you met some of those people?
Well, obviously through Made in Yorkshire, but I'm part of the Vistage network as well, and that is a coaching and training group that for the last 2 years, quite frankly, have got me through quite some tough times because it's a close network. I actually call them friends now. They are business associates. Very different world from a business, but even businesses that are not the same, you can still get experience from. You can still share expertise and support. And I class some of these people now as good friends for me.
Yeah, that's good. That people that took you, made you realize you're not alone at the top, and people with ambition who also want to achieve big things. You said something funny to me about, sometimes you can just cry yourself out with a glass of wine.
Oh, yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
You can do that
I
too.
can admit that, Nobody sees you when you're laid in bath with a glass of Prosecco, crying your eyes out, thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? Get out of bed on the morning and start again. There's been occasions when I've actually pulled up at work and sat on the drive and got in the car, and just said, I don't want to get out of the car today. Yeah. But you have to. You have to because, you've got responsibility for people, you've got responsibility to customers, not even just employees. So you've got to pull yourself out of it. And if you have a bad day, fine, you're going to have a good day as well, aren't you? So take the good with the bad.
Love it. And lastly, could you tell me a little bit about where you take your inspiration from? And perhaps what would you say to Marie going into the CBE Plus journey 2017?
Don't do it.
Advice?
Now, if I'd have known it were going to be as tough as it were, I probably wouldn't have done it, quite frankly. I would have done what I wanted to do. But I think you forget all the difficult things when you said it earlier, reflect. You have to reflect on where you've come from. Everybody has a journey. My inspiration comes from other people that are running businesses, not just similar businesses, any business, anybody who's got drive and ambition, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? You
can almost like bounce off the energy of these people.
It is. That's what you want. You want somebody that drives it. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to do it. So you believe in it, and quite honestly, there's a lot of people that inspire me, but the biggest ones are, my team, because I see what they want to work. We had the conversations even yesterday with a few of them as to they're now part of a business that's, generating an £8 million turnover. Individually, they were all part of businesses that were probably 1, 2, even 3 million turnover, but now they're part of a bigger thing. Everything's on one side, the working environment, seeing them develop and seeing their energy as well. You drive from their energy. So.
There's one thing also you mentioned to me in terms of what you perhaps could have done differently is about sometimes some business decisions where, projects where you should perhaps take advice from professionals.
Yes. There's a few things with that.
Journey.
You can try to do too much on your own. You can try to take on too much. And I think we all have that conversation, giving up the controls. But it is all about trust. So it is about finding people that you can trust to develop. And there is projects that we've undertaken that, even down to the NITEC move, bringing the electrous nickel plating plant on. You look at now what we've had as a turnkey solution from the experts really was putting our new robotic automation line. In hindsight, I probably should have gave them the whole investment to do the whole move, and probably wouldn't have
quicker and cheaper.
It would have definitely been quicker and cheaper, and I would have had probably less grey hairs. But hindsight's a fantastic thing, isn't it? We are where we are, and
you've learned from it for sure. That you won't make that mistake again.
But not forgetting, the plant we had, what we've actually built on Enterprise Drive, is better than what we had. On the old site. But it's not the world-class robotic automation line. So we can see the development and we can see the opportunities. So watch this space. There will be more investment, but we need to make use of what we've got first.
I look forward to that. And please don't talk yourself down, because it's a pretty awesome place you've got there. We and the team had the pleasure to be there. And we look forward to continuing support you, the team in Chesterfield. Big shout out to all the team at CBE. You achieve great things together.
Together we do more.
Yes.
That's
so,
the slogan.
Marie, thank you for sharing this incredible journey with us today, because it is personal. There is some personal stuff, and it's great for me to actually learn about what drives people, really, really drives them, and it's good to uncover that. So thank you for sharing this. I feel that your finest moment is still yet to come.
Well, I've had some finest moments, but I've had some really shocking ones as well. But
yes, we all do, right?
But it's not the end. We're starting from the beginning. What's got us here is not going to get us there. So it is all about progression and moving forward. So,
also, I commend you for starting a beautiful family. You have adopted two awesome twins.
Like I did have enough to do. Yes, I've took on 2 4-year-old twins. So
yes. So that's congratulations on that. That you are a fantastic mother, role model. You certainly are a role model for me and a lot of women in our industry for all the drive, all the passion that you bring. So it comes from the heart, Marie. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, it's tough, life-changing, but they're inspirational. And 4-year-olds come with a different energy. So, yeah.
Thank you, Marie. It was awesome to have you here on the Finest Power podcast. I know how busy you are, so I truly appreciate the time to take meet with us, network with some of the guests we've had here today, the live audience. So that's a wrap for the Finest Hour podcast for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Finest Hour with Marie Cooper. I certainly did. So much to unpack. I'm still excited. So great. Thank you so much, guys. See you again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.